As of June 19th, 2022, 4,569 Ukrainian civilians have died because of the Russian invasion. 304 of those deaths are children. These numbers don't even tally the deaths of Russian and Ukrainian soldiers as well as Russian civilians. These numbers will only rise as the war in Ukraine continues to rage on with no end in sight. Today's episode will cover updates on the war in Ukraine. What's up, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of Politics, where I read 3 current event articles from media sources left, right, and center and give my thoughts on them. This is because people today tend to get their news from one source, and it's annoying, and it makes you look stupid. Today, we'll be discussing updates on the Russian and Ukrainian war. First up, I have an article from the Washington Post titled, "Kremlin says captured Americans are soldiers of fortune, not subject to Geneva Conventions." Mr. Capehart, how are you doing? This article was a string of war updates and started out by stating that the Kremlin's top spokesman recently confirmed that 2 Americans, Alexander Druk, a U.S. Army veteran, and Andy Wynn, a U.S. Marine veteran who had disappeared after joining the war effort in Ukraine, were taken into Russian custody. The Russian spokesman said that these prisoners would not be afforded protections granted by the Geneva Conventions. The Russians are considering soldiers from outside countries as mercenaries and thus are not counting them as soldiers under protection from the Geneva Convention. The Geneva Convention states that prisoners of war must at all times be humanely treated. It states that any unlawful act or omission by the detaining power causing death or seriously endangering the health of a prisoner of war is prohibited and will be regarded as a serious breach of the Geneva Convention. Earlier this month, a Russian-backed separatist in the Donetsk region ignited international outrage when it handed down death sentences to fighters from Britain and Morocco. It is feared that these 2 American prisoners could face the same sentence. Next, this article reported that a second American citizen has been killed in the fighting in Ukraine. Stephen Zabielski died on May 15th while fighting in Ukraine. Mr. Zabielski was a U.S. Army veteran who left behind a wife, 5 stepchildren, and 7 siblings. May he rest in peace. And finally, it was reported that in the month of May, China imported more Russian crude oil than ever before. Russian oil overtook Saudi Arabian oil as China's largest oil import. As the West is suffering from a lack of oil due to Russian oil sanctions, countries in the East, such as China and India, are taking advantage of the discounted Russian oil and are buying in quantities larger than ever before. Next up, I have an article from CNBC titled, "Americans Captured in Ukraine Could Face a Death Penalty. First German long-range weapons arrive in Ukraine." Ms. Borston, it's great to see you again. Ukraine recently applied to be a member of the EU, and this week they are waiting for the EU's decision on if they will be granted the status of a candidate country. Ukrainian President Zelensky has said that he expects Russian attacks to intensify this week while they await the decision. Long-range heavy weaponry from Germany has arrived in Ukraine for the first time. Germany sent over a supply of Panzerhaubitze 2000 to join Ukraine's artillery arsenal. This is the first time Germany has sent lethal weapons to a conflict zone since World War II. Part 2 soon.